Trixie's getting back on her hooves. Chapter 2. Getting started. Later, after getting back to Pineville as discreetly as possible, Twilight led the now cleaned up unicorn mirror to the bedroom in the library. "You live in a library?" asked Trixie, looking around confused. Twilight gave a nod, opening drawers looking for something. "Princess Celestia was nice enough to set me up here." "You gave up a room in the royal palace for a library?" asked Trixie, her mind still trying to wrap herself around the idea that the bear who had upstaged her was the apprentice of the ruler of the day. "So you lived in the library there, too," said Spike in a slightly deadpan tone, as he followed the two mares into the room. Trixie gave a bewildered look in response. "An entire royal palace. You chose the library to stay in?" she asked, unable to see why any pony would do that. "I take my studies very seriously," replied Twilight, basically flinging some extra pillows and blankets out of a drawer to make a bed on the floor. "And I love to read, so it seemed like the best place for me," she said, coming down and compulsively making the bed. "Trixie can see that," said Trixie, watching the meticulousness Twilight took in making a guest bed, and assumed her study habits must be at the same measure. "So, Trixie will be sleeping on the floor, she guesses?" "Nope, I am." Trixie's eyes went wide. "Wait, what?" she asked, clear surprise in her tone. "You're my guest, so I'll take the floor. You take the bed," replied Twilight with a smile. She had a guest bed, but it hadn't been seen since Spike's last birthday. "But Trixie said she would be taking—" "It's not pity, Trixie," Violet replied, giving a frown. "It's just part of being a good host." "So you even made me look up the book on it while you were cleaning up, just to make sure," Spike said, holding up a book with a title, "How to be a good host for fools." Trixie blinked at the book in confusion. "But why does the town library even have a book like that?" "Same reason it has Slumber 101, all you ever wanted to know about slumber parties, but were afraid to ask, and why Twilight's favorites aren't on the to-do list," explained Spike, holding up books. "Oh, I want to read that one again," said Twilight, floating up the letter to her. Trixie just stared at bemusement for a moment and sighed. She was too tired to come up with a witty remark for this. And besides, a real bed seemed very inviting for the moment. "Fine. Now, let Trixie ask something. Just what it is that you're studying here in Ponyville that's so important that Princess Celestia personally ordered it." "Oh, I'm studying friendship," Twilight replied, simply, canonically pulling down the covers to make a makeshift bed. "Friendship?" asked Trixie, giving a confused look. "Oh, why would Celestia have you studying friendship?" she asked, cocking her head confusion. "I'll explain in the morning. It's a long story," replied Twilight, trying to avoid the subject for the time being. Trixie had already had a big shock finding out Twilight was Celestia's pupil, let alone a wielder of an element of harmony. Twilight was best to let her sleep tonight and tell her in the morning. "We better get some sleep. There's a lot to do in the morning," she said, yawning for real. She was exhausted after the day. Trixie didn't bother arguing and climbing up to Twilight's usual bed. In all honesty, she had not had a decent sleep in a while, let alone a bed to sleep in. "Twilight, are you sure this is a good idea?" asked Spike, sitting in his own little bed. "I still don't trust her." "Don't worry, Spike. Aloysius will keep an eye on her," replied Twilight, though she personally didn't see much reason to worry. After all, they hadn't gotten exactly to know Trixie last time. "Oh, that reminds me. Trixie, I forgot to introduce you to Aloysius," she called, pointing to the owl, which was presently still on a perch nearby, keeping an eye on things. Trixie blinked, looking at the owl, which rotated his head to see her. "You have a pet owl. Why is Trixie not surprised?" she replied, staring at the Aloysius as the bird stared at her. Hello there." "Who?" "Trixie." "Who?" "Trixie." "Who?" "Trixie." "Who?" "You stubborn bird! I said my name is Trixie!" "Who?" Trixie snarled angrily, glaring daggers at the owl till Twilight spoke up. "Trixie, he's an owl. That's all he can say," she explained with a raised eyebrow. Trixie blushed in embarrassment. Oh, yes. Trixie, you dad. Oh, look at the time. Good night, she said, quickly hiding under the covers before another word could be said. Spike chuckled. You shouldn't be laughing, Spike. You did the same thing, reminded Twilight, causing Spike to huff and cover himself up. Good night, Spike, Trixie, Alicious, she said, using her telekinesis to put out the light and cover yourself up. Trixie kept her back to Twilight and sighed sadly. This isn't pity. You're her guest. You're not useless. You can get along on your own. You'll show those two. You're not a useless failure, she whispered to herself, a tear going down her cheek as she laid her head down and went to sleep. You're not a useless failure, Trixie. Thank you. No, muttered Twilight, twisting and turning her makeshift bed. Not my friends. Stop laughing at me! Stop it! She muttered, fear clear on her face, as she contorted in bed. Stop it! She screamed, jumping up awake, looking this way and that, panting heavily. It was morning, light shining through the window. Nothing out of the ordinary. She gave a sigh of relief. It was just a dream. Nightmares? Asked Trixie, rising up into bed and looking down from the loft at her hostess. Twilight gave a sigh and slow nod. Yeah, I've been having them since the Discord incident. Sorry if I woke you. Trixie looked sympathetic in response. That, Twilight Sparkle, is something Trixie cannot blame you for, she replied, sounding strangely sincere. Twilight looked up at Trixie, a little surprised by her tone. Really? Trixie nodded. Trixie thinks most of Equestria is having such nightmares now. It's a little surprised one who lived in the epicenter of the disaster would have them, she said, trying not to show her own pain. Trixie, he got to you too, didn't he? Asked Twilight, looking concerned. He got to every pony in Equestria. Is that really such a surprise that Trixie was affected? The Shell Pony replied, in a rather harsh tone, trying to avoid the conversation. Well, no. What did he do to you? Asked Twilight, looking concerned for Trixie. She knew what Discord had done to her and her friends. Had he inverted Trixie? Or drove her mad like most every pony else? Trixie turned her head up in this rather snooty manner. Trixie doesn't need your pity. She'll keep her problems to herself. Twilight growled in frustration, annoyed with the unicorn's attitude it had. Is that your answer to everything? Just so when somebody tries to pity Trixie, she replied, getting up, but keeping her face turned away from Twilight as much as possible, so she didn't see how upset she was by the memories. Twilight frowned, seeing Trixie trying to keep things bottled up. You want to know what he did to me? Trixie looked at her in surprise, but regained her composure quickly as she made her bed. Trixie doesn't care. Say whatever you like, she replied, trying to maintain her image. Nothing. Absolutely nothing to me, said Twilight, looking down with a sad look. Nothing? Then whatever are you having nightmares about? Asked Trixie, looking at Twilight in confusion. Because he didn't have to do anything to me. What he did to every pony else was enough, replied Twilight, lowering her ears in sorrow. He turned my best friends into complete jerks and drove the whole town insane. Except me. I had to watch what he did to every pony I care about, completely aware of what was happening, she said, not caring recounting this fact caused her voice to break mid-sentence. She hoped it jarred Trixie out, bottling up how she felt about it. Twilight had, and was 90% sure, it'd been one of the reasons she had a breakdown during the near-infamous Smarty Pants incident. Somebody else shares my headcanon. Plus, honestly, it felt good to get it out to herself to somebody else. Sure, her friends knew, but sometimes just talking about it helped. Trixie looked down, looking conflicted. She wasn't used to sharing something like this with her, or how she would react. Trixie sees. Thanks for listening. Anyway, I'm going to start breakfast, Twilight said, heading out for the door. Nothing is a good term for what he did to Trixie, too. Twilight stopped and looked over her shoulder. What? Trixie lowered her head. He made Trixie nothing. Trixie felt and saw things like no pony even knew she existed. Like every pony saw and heard a blank spot where I was. I've never felt so alone, she said, nearly breaking down into tears before catching it, and forcing herself to regain her composure. Oh, well, anyway, now you know. Don't pity Trixie for it, Twilight Sparkle. You told her experience, she told you hers. Simple as that. Twilight frowned. Trixie, are you all right? She asked, deeply concerned. What an awful thing to do to a pony. To make him feel like he didn't exist at all. She shivered at the thought, though, in a way. She knew what it felt like, considering every pony else was too insane to know she existed. Yes, Trixie is fine, Trixie replied, getting back to her normal swagger. Let's just eat breakfast, Sally, she asked, walking by Twilight. Twilight frowned, but remembered how antisocial she used to be before she met her friends. Maybe Trixie was the same way. Getting Trixie to open up was all a good sign at least. Come on, Spike. We've got breakfast to make. Big Dad have us, she called. Spike, being grabbed by telekinesis, and pulled off the bed with a yell. Oh, 5 more minutes, muttered Spike, trying to keep a hold of his pillow. That was before he burnt out a burst of green flame, forming a scroll. A letter from Celestia? Twilight asked, blinking. What does it say? Spike unrolled it and cleared his throat. My dear faithful student, Twilight Sparkle, due to significant damage remaining after Discord's reign, we've scheduled a tropical storm to help clear out the environmental damage to some of Equestria, so new growth can occur. I thought the elements of harmony cleared that up. The things he transformed directly, like the chocolate rain, explained Twilight, levitating a brush over the main in order. But a lot of stuff, like the dead plants killed by that, were left behind, and had to be cleaned up manually. I guess only so much of a major storm could clear it out so quickly. It's the same reason they sometimes schedule wildfires or other bad weather, to clear out damaged trees and other types of debris, so new stuff can grow in its place. Spike nodded and looked back to the lair. The storm should be far from Ponyville, but you'll likely receive some of the rains and heavy winds in a few days. Please let Ponyville know and prepare for this. Princess Celestia. P.S. Yesterday he read, then his eyes widened. Nothing. What? Twilight asked, giving it a look. Nothing, it's up there! Spike said nervously, trying to roll up the scroll and hide it as quickly as he could. Twilight quickly snatched it with her magic. In spots, Spike sheepishly tried to sneak out of the room. Spike! Yipes! Yelled Spike, trying to make a run for it. She teleported him back to her, holding him in front of her with telekinesis, glaring at him furiously. Hey, Blue Blood had it coming, and you know it! And then suddenly beat Discord and saved Equestria, finished Spike, looking up to see Trixie staring over her jaw, almost on the floor, in complete shock. Breakfast was eaten, and Twilight was out, informing the others of the situation, and trying to get them relaxed before reintroducing them to Trixie, as well as inform Ponyville about the storm. What's wrong? Asked Trixie, looking like she was going to have a nervous breakdown, eye twitching, and everything. These 3 ponies I publicly humiliated were 3 of the heroes who saved Equestria twice! That's what's wrong! She exclaimed, giving a groan and slamming her head down on the table hard, enough to rattle everything on it all at once. It's official. My life is over. Yeah, you're probably right, said Spike with a shrug. Spike! Twilight exclaimed, giving Spike an angry glare as she walked in. The little dragon was still in rather hot water over the stun he pulled yesterday as it was. Dream of Jazz walked in, along with the rest of the group. She found herself glaring daggers at the unicorn mare, while Rarity and Applejack gave her uncertain looks. Rarity's more chastising than Applejack's. Trixie looked enraged for a moment at the 3 ponies she publicly humiliated, not liking the angry glares, then lowered her head. You think Trixie deserves this, don't you? That Trixie deserved to lose everything she had for a few mean pranks? she asked, looking downtrodden. Spike rubbed his head. Well, will you put it that way? You make me feel bad. Applejack nodded, seeing how harsh that would be. No, Sugar Cube, we don't. It was us who wanted to prove ourselves, right? Applejack started, looking over at Trixie. You might have gave the challenge, but we're the ones who took it. Rainbow and Rarity even knew what they were in for. Yeah, you wanted to prove yourself, Rainbow said bitterly, followed by a long sigh of annoyance by Twilight. Indeed, said Rarity, walking over but looking a bit miffed. You may have made my hair a total mess, humiliating me in front of the entire town, but you're not one to turn down a mare who's down on her luck. It's not the proper way for a lady to behave. Wait, so you're not angry at Trixie? Asked Trixie, completely surprised by the turn of events. Of course we're angry at you, said Applejack, giving a small glare. We're also concerned you're in over your head and need some help. Holding on to an old grudge don't do no pony any good, she said with a small smile. Like, a word that can't resist helping pony folk will need it. So he's the element of generosity, now. Applejack is right, I suppose, he replied with a sigh. I've always had a weakness for helping other ponies, and you certainly look like you need help. Firefly timidly peeked at Trixie through her bangs, before the mare could reply. Hi, she said simply in her timid voice. I'm Fluttershy, she said in a small, shy voice, this being the first time she actually met Trixie. Glad to meet you. Pinkie bounced in. I still don't know what's going on, but we can have a party. I've got my party can, she exclaimed, producing sad-eye from nowhere. Later, Pinkie, said Twilight. Seriously, as Trixie stared wide-eyed at the sudden appearance of a cannon, manned by the, in her opinion, rather crazy pony. Oh, all right, muttered Pinkie, rolling her weapon of mass celebration off screen. Anyway, we're here to help, said Twilight, smiling to Trixie. I would complain, but fourth wall breaking and Pinkie go together so well. Trixie sighed. Trixie doesn't want your pity. Trixie just needs to know where she can find a job, she said simply, stubbornness to clear her voice. Well, good, because I'm not helping you, exclaimed Rainbow, equal amounts of stubbornness in the blue Pegasus voice. Rainbow, what's gotten into you? Asked Twilight, a bit upset her friend. She's a liar! She lied to the entire town and didn't fess up until an Ursa Minor was about to eat her for dinner, replied Rainbow Dash, giving a glare. What makes you think for 1 minute she's telling the truth now? Because I found her homeless on the streets of Camelot, Rainbow. Do you think the great and powerful Trixie would be that willingly? Twilight asked, glaring at Rainbow. How'd you end up on the street like that anyway? Asked Spike, scratching his head. Twilight looked at the varied streets around the library, trying to think of a job that might suit Trixie. Trixie doesn't want you to pity her. All she wants to know is where she may find a job, replied the stubborn unicorn. Dear, we can't do anything for you as an act of kindness, not pity, unless you tell us how you got into this condition, said Rarity, trying to coax out how Trixie had gone from how they last seen her to a homeless filthy mare on the streets of Camelot. Fine, Trixie sighed out, seemingly willing to let the matter be. Trixie's cart had everything she owned in it. Her money, magic supplies, everything, she said, leaving the rest for them to fill in. Rarity gasped a realization. The Ursa stepped on your cart, she said. Now Quincy had the memory. Was the times she felt Trixie had deserved. Now she felt terrible. I guess that explains a lot, said Applejack, rubbing the back of her head. Having the same reaction as Rarity, while Rainbow kept her mouth shut. Trixie nodded. Trixie lost everything she had. That's all, she explained, ending the explanation abruptly. Twilight spoke up after a brief, uncomfortable silence. Well, Trixie, I've sorted out jobs available in Ponyville. One group that you can't do, like working on the Apple Family Farm. And why can't Trixie do that? Asked Trixie, looking to the reserve pony. Because it's muscle work, Sugar Cube, said Applejack. Right now, you don't have a lot of muscle on you. That and my big brother, Big Mac, it's my upset you humiliated me in public, said Applejack, giving a nervous look. Big brother instinct and all. The Applejack is pretty tight-knit. Trixie sighed, but looked rather upset to mention family. However, she could understand her point. Not only did she feel like facing somebody's older sibling, she also knew she wasn't in the best of shape after several weeks with very little value to eat. Sure, she had her magic, but like Twilight, her telekinesis wasn't quite as powerful or useful for heavy lifting. Fine, what can Trixie do? Well, the second group are ones we can try, but there's those promises you'll get them, like working in shops around town square. Finally, third, probably you get easy, like working with Fluttershy, Rarity, or Pinkie Pie. Well, I'm certain we'll give you a job. Whatever, you can help me if you want to, but I'm not falling for it, said Rainbow, finally having enough. When she turns on you, don't say I didn't warn you, she spat, flying out the nearest window. Twilight sighed. Don't mind her. Rainbow will probably come out around, eventually. She said, knowing Rainbow wasn't exactly the most forgiving pony to someone who hurt her friends, being the element of loyalty as well as pretty hard-headed sometimes. Fluttershy normally got furious when that happened, but she was the element of kindness, so she naturally was a very forgiving pony. But she was sure that Rainbow would come around, and Trixie proved she was trustworthy. Moving on, let's focus on finding you a job. Actually, I do need a little help, and I'll pay well, said Fluttershy, in her timid, shy tone, but wanting to help if at all possible. No offense, dear, but how? Asked Rarity to her knowledge. Fluttershy didn't get paid a great deal for her job, but, despite her skills with animals, I didn't ask for more than she needed. Fluttershy had a real desire for money, and Rarity had never known her to seek it. I saved up a lot, said Fluttershy, then blushed heavily. From when I was a model, she muttered quietly, looking down. I got quit, actually. Trixie's jaw dropped. You were a model? She asked, completely shocked. Trixie somehow has trouble believing that. Yes, I felt to finish, explained Rarity, remembering her own unsavory behavior during the whole incident. Oh, that was some time ago, though. I felt to finish. I felt to finish, asked Trixie, her jaw dropping almost to the floor in shock. Fluttershy nodded in her usual meek way. Yes, but I really hated it. I hardly ever ate anything, but I saved up the money in case it came in handy. I'd be glad to give you work, that is if you want it. Trixie shook her head off in shock and gave a look. And what job would that be? Twilight nodded. Fluttershy takes care of animals. That's not much of a problem, is it? Trixie growled under her breath but composed herself. Trixie will do any job she needs to. She's not too soft for a little handiwork. Twilight was pleasantly surprised by that. All right, that'll be your first job. Good. The sooner we get Rebecca her hooves, the better, muttered Spike, even if he felt a little bad. He still wasn't too fond of Trixie. I'm glad you're so concerned, Spike, because until I get back, you're Trixie's assistant. What? Why? Asked Spike, taken off guard. For the same reason I've got to go to Canterlot to clean Prince Bluebud's room, said Twilight, glaring at the little dragon. Or would you rather do that? Spike huffed, crossing his arms. Fine. Good, said Twilight. I should be back later today. I'll see you guys when I get back, she said, clearly not looking forward to it as he left. Why does she have to clean out that brute's room for? Asked Rarity, confused by his turn of offense. I threw a speak bomb in it, admitted Spike, almost proudly. I did to pay him back for how he treated you at the gala. Rarity gave a small smile. Why, thank you, Spike, even if it wasn't the most goodest thing to do. It's so nice gender. To me, not Blueblood. Though that pompous prince had it coming, she admitted, still not too happy about her run-in with Blueblood at the gala. She kind of enjoyed seeing Blueblood have to humble himself a bit during her time as one of Canterlot elite. Even if he was a prince, he had a public image to keep up. Can we go now? Asked Trixie, and Spike blushed from Rarity's praise. Trixie would like to get this over with. I got to get anyway, said Applejack. There's a storm coming, and me and the family gotta prepare, she explained. Remember what Twilight had said about it. I suppose I should be getting as well, said Rarity. If I don't watch Sweetie Belle, who knows what she and her friends will come to, she said, following Applejack out. I'll be waiting at Sugar Cute Corner for my turn to give you a job, said Pinkie Pie, merrily heading towards the door, rolling her party can around with her. Wait, how do you know Trixie will be getting a job from you? asked Trixie, blinking confusion.
Because that's always how these kinds of plots work, silly,
said Pinkie, hopping out. That's just Pinkie Pie being Pinkie Pie, said Spike. Right, said Trixie, blinking. Look at you, Fluttershy.
Lead the way. Fluttershy, was it?